Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to Football Discussions. And today we are coming at you with a brand new NFL mock draft. This is 2.0 on the year, and the final one, as draft day is tomorrow. Like I mentioned in my last video, not as much content this year. Kind of did way more in-depth scouting. This was like the first time I really scouted each player. Kind of got to know the entire class before making this content. That way I felt more comfortable about the content I was making for you guys. Also in my college, so it's been a little hard to continuously try to film these things. But with that being said, I'm excited, man. Draft day is tomorrow. This is a really interesting class. I think it's one of the more interesting classes we've seen in a minute. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, because I really don't think there's a clear-cut way of any of this going. But without further ado, let's get right into it, starting off with the number 1 overall pick, and for me, it is Travon Walker. Look, I think Hutchinson's a way better player than Walker is. Walker's my edge 3. I have Jermaine Johnson ahead of him. I think Walker's a terrific talent. I think he's an athletic freak, and obviously that's kind of what today's NFL gardeners tours. However, I think that Hutchinson is just more of a clear-cut, can't-miss player. This is a guy that can come in, play for you right away, start for you right away, be a locker room guy right away, make an impact right away. And I'm not saying Travon Walker doesn't have the ability to do that, but I think Hutchinson's a little more safe in that aspect. But it really sounds like the Jaguars are leaning towards Walker. Again, Walker's a terrific player, man. Freak athlete, really good off the edge, got good bend, good use of hands. I think the pass rush package has a long way to go, but I think, he can definitely get there with some good coaching. New coaching staff in Jacksonville, new GM. This is going to be interesting. This is kind of the first pick of their regime, but it's going to be interesting to see where they go. But I think they do go with Travon Walker here at 1. And at 2, it just makes sense. Falls perfectly in the Lions' lap. Keep the local kid local. Aidan Hutchinson, the edge out of Michigan, to the Detroit Lions. And now, for me, Hutchinson, touched on it a bit before, I think he's just way more complete than any other player in this class, regardless of position. His pass rush package is really good. His speed to power is very good. I think I'm higher on Hutchinson than a lot of people are. I think he's just a notch below the Bosa's. I really do. I think he's going to be a 10-sack guy next year. I think he can come in, immediately make an impact on a team. I think he's just got a really good motor, really good competitive toughness. And again, that speed to power, that get off is something really unique about Hutchinson, and something that, is rare in a lot of players. So I think Hutchinson is well worth the number 2 overall pick, especially in a class that's kind of weak like this one. But I think the Lions get a stud here at 2. At 3, this is where the first wild card could go. I've seen Stingley recently. Sounds like the Texans have Stingley more highly graded than Sauce Gardner. And if they decide to go corner, it could very well be Derek Stingley. I do have them going with EKWONU, the offensive tackle out of North Carolina State. Ickey's a guy that can play guard, he can play tackle, he's super athletic, super versatile, and I think that's what makes him the offensive tackle 1 for a lot of these teams. For me, the best tackle in this class is Charles Cross, and I hear that for the Giants and the Jets as well, that they're really into Charles Cross, and even the Panthers have Cross higher than Ickey and Evan Neal. But the Texans are a unique team with a unique offensive line situation. You could either play Titus Howard at guard, where he has struggled, or kick him out to tackle. And if you pick Ickey, it allows you to have the versatility to slide him into that guard spot if you want to play Titus at tackle, or if you want to keep Titus at guard, obviously EKWONU can play tackle as well. So this is a really good versatile tackle, really good player, super physical, super athletic, and I think the Texans go with him here at 3. At 4, this is another wild card spot. It could be Sauce Gardner, it could be Kayvon Thibodeaux, but it sounds like the Jets really like Jermaine Johnson. And to me, Jermaine Johnson is edge 2 in this class. I have Hutchinson, Johnson, Walker, and Thibodeaux at 4. I think Jermaine Johnson is a super good player. A guy a lot like Aidan Hutchinson with that speed to power. I think he has better bend than Hutchinson. Not as complete of a pass rush package, but I think he's really good off the ball. Has that get off that we talk about looking for in edge rushers, especially modern day edge rushers. And I think that the Jets, it sounds like they're pretty infatuated with him, so I have them going with him here at 4. At 5, I go Charles Cross. I touched on this a bit before, but it sounds like the Giants have him as O-tackle 1, and I think if he falls to 5, it's going to be hard for them to pass up on. Sauce is still here, so that's very much a possibility for them. I think they could go Sauce. They could go Evan Neal. They could go Kayvon Thibodeaux. But I think, the most important thing for them right now is to protect Daniel Jones. Andrew Thomas has kind of developed into a pretty good starting tackle, and I think Charles Cross is the best pass blocking tackle in this class. It's not even close. So you get a guy that can really lock down the trenches for the New York Giants and start to build up this offensive line for them. So I think that's, priority number one if I'm a Giants GM, and I think Cross is the player to do it with. At 6, we have Evan Neal going to the Carolina Panthers. I think if one of Neal, Cross, or Ickey is available at 6, the Panthers do go tackle. Quarterback is certainly a possibility, or trade back is a possibility as well. But finding trade down partners to move up into the top 10 is going to be pretty hard. You could have teams like the Saints who want to move up and really, really solidify their offensive line for a tackle. But again, I think if one of these top 3 tackles is here, the Panthers don't pass it up, and Evan Neal is here. They go with that. They're kind of a best player available team right now. They're not going to be good next year. Matt Rule's probably going to leave next year. I don't think the organization wants to risk drafting a quarterback with a kind of 1-year head coach left. So I think they go with Evan Neal, get the BPA, get a really, really good guy for their trenches, and he's a terrific player. At 7, this is beautiful if you're a New York Giants fan. First, you get Charles Cross to protect Daniel Jones, and now you get probably one of the better players in the class in a lot of NFL teams' eyes. I'm a little low on Sauce Gardner. I'm not going to lie. I think he's cornerback 3. I'm really high on Andrew Booth. He's my cornerback 2, and I think Derek Stingley is clear-cut number 1. That being said, I'm just one person. I think a lot of people are high in Sauce Gardner, and a lot of NFL teams are high in Sauce Gardner. So in the Giants' eyes, I think he might be corner 1, and if that is the case, I think James Bradberry still has a chance to get cut draft day or be traded draft day, which would leave a pretty big hole at cornerback for the New York Giants. I think they get best player available in their eyes and go Sauce Gardner here at 7. At 8, this is going to come as a surprise, and I'm sure Falcons fans are going to hate me, but the NFL is super, super, super high on Jordan Davis, and I mean really high. I don't see him falling outside the top 10, and I've seen him connected to the Falcons a good bit. Another scenario of keeping the local guy local, Georgia to Atlanta. I think that Jordan Davis is a terrific player. I think a lot of NFL teams are going to have him as their number 1 player on the big board. He's a really, really terrific talent. I think he was better than Vita Vea was coming out of college, who went at 12. I think 8 is not a ridiculous spot for him. Really, really terrific. I mean, he just eats up space in the run game. Obviously not a great pass rusher, but a guy that is just going to be impactful no matter where he plays, what defensive system he goes into. I think he's just an absolute beast, an absolute mauler. And the Atlanta Falcons, who, again, aren't in a position to really make a run at anything next year, are going to go best player and available. And in their eyes, I think that could very well be Jordan Davis here at 8. At 9, this is where the Thibodeaux slide falls. I think this is a good spot for him to land. Seattle, again, much like some of the teams I touched on before, not going to be contenders next year. They're really not going to make a run at anything. I think they're in a great position to go, hey, if Stingley's here, if Thibodeaux's here, if one of the tackle falls, we really have our pick of the litter. It's not going to matter. It's really just going to be who is number 1 on our big board. I think they might have Thibodeaux a little higher than Stingley. Both are needs, corner and edge for the Seahawks. So I think it's one of those two guys, but I think they go with Kayvon Thibodeaux here at 9. At 10, dream scenario for the New York Jets here. They get their guy, Jermaine Johnson, who they really seem to like at 4, and now they get to address their defensive back room and Derek Stingley at 10. Some Jets fans might be upset about missing out on tackles, but there's some solid guys at the start of the second round, and you guys picked pretty high there. So I think you could get a Raymond there, Penning if he falls, Tyler Smith if he falls. So I think there are some good players for them to fill that role. Their defensive back room, especially their cornerback room, is so weak, probably the weakest in the NFL. And getting a guy that I view as cornerback 1 like Derek Stingley here at 10 is terrific value, and I think it's a really good move for the New York Jets. At 11, I have the Washington Commanders going with Jameson Williams, the wide receiver out of Alabama. I really think he's going to be the first wide receiver taken. When you talk about wide receivers, modern-day wide receivers in the NFL, it's speed. Everyone loves speed, right? And I think Jameson Williams has that. He's the fastest guy in this class. With the combination of being able to be a terrific route runner, having a fantastic release, great competitive toughness, great hands, great body control. I think he's just the full package. He's my wide receiver 1. I think he's going to be a lot of teams' wide receiver 1s, and the Washington Commanders jump on that opportunity and take Jameson Williams here at 11. At 12, this is where the Kyle Hamilton slide stops. To me, he's still a top 5 player in the class. I've seen a lot of people talk bad about him. The speed thing Yeah, his 40 time might be a little slow, but his play speed is still so fast. He has terrific range, great zone ability. I think he's good in man, and he can freaking tackle, man. He can really cut down big running backs. He's going to be able to stop the run. He's going to be super effective in the box. You can really use Kyle Hamilton wherever you want, and I think the Minnesota Vikings, again, just a best player available mindset here, and go with Kyle Hamilton at 12. At 13, here's the first trade of the draft. Texans with Jermaine Johnson being off the board, Thibodeaux being off the board, Hutchinson being off the board, and Walker being off the board. I don't think they reach on a guy like George Karlaftis here, another edge here. Some of the top-tier tackles are off the board. I don't think they go in that direction, especially after they already took Iggy. And with the top two corners off the board and Hamilton off the board, I don't really see them taking a corner or safety at this spot. So really good trade-down spot for them. The Steelers have a chance to jump teams like the Eagles and the Saints, who could potentially take a quarterback and just get their pick at best quarterback available. And to me, that's Malik Willis here at 13. It's probably going to take a 3, maybe a 4, because the trade back market really isn't going to be that competitive. So the Steelers could kind of get a steal here to move up. But I think this is a really good value, and they get the guy that they view as the best quarterback in the class, in Malik Willis. At 14, I got Devonte Wyatt, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. The only knock on Devonte Wyatt that I personally have is the age. He is 24. I have seen some character concerns, but when he is on the field, this guy can play. He's terrific in pass rush. He's great in run stopping. He's got really good use of hands. He's got great strength, really good play strength. I think it's a great fit on Ravens defensive line, who's going to have to kind of get some interior pressure this year. They missed out on Zadarius Smith in free agency. That hurts them. They did get Calais Campbell back this year on a one-year deal. So I think Devonte Wyatt really just fits this defense, fits what they're trying to do, and it's a good fit in Baltimore. At 15, this is a luxury pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I know 3 receivers in a row, 3 years in a row. Might be a little controversial among fans, but I think if Drake London slides this far, you got to jump on that. He's a guy that a lot of guys view as top 10 talent, and he's kind of different than what the receivers on the Eagles bring to the table currently. Devontae Smith, kind of that guy that can take you over the middle and then burn you with speed. You have Jalen Reagor, who's the speedy guy. I know a lot of Eagles fans don't like to talk about him, but he does provide that element. And now you get a big body in Drake London who can just really go up and get the football. Terrific use of his big body on routes. I think he creates separation with that body. And again, great body control and really good hands. So I think Drake London is a terrific receiver, my wide receiver 2 in this class. And the Eagles go with him here at 15. And back-to-back receivers here, it's going to be Garrett Wilson at 16 to the Saints. He's a guy that's a lot like Devontae Smith last year, in my opinion. Really smooth, really fluid route runner. Good hands and good speed after the catch to kind of burn you. So I think, the Saints with Garrett Wilson being on the board, do not pass up this opportunity and take him here at 16. At 17, I'm a little low on Penning, but it's so hard to find another guy that the Chargers would take. I could see Trent McDuffie, but I think they do end up going Penning here. He's a really good player. Again, I'm not that high on him, but he's got insane athleticism, and it's so hard to overlook. Again, a good player, and yeah, the athleticism is kind of what pushes him up there. He's mean. He's really got a mean streak. It could be a problem. There are some character concerns, but I think the Chargers, tackle's their biggest need right now. You have Rashawn Slater on one side and no one on the other side. So I think they do end up taking Penning here at 17. At 18, I do have the Eagles going DB. It's going to be Trent McDuffie. This is a guy that can play on the slot. This is a guy that can play on the boundary. A lot of dudes love Trent McDuffie. He's a little undersized, which is why I have him a little lower on my cornerback rankings, but I still think he's well worth the 18th overall pick. Really good football player, and I think he's a really good fit in Philadelphia. At 19, I have Tyler Smith going to the New Orleans Saints. This might come as a surprise, and some people might not like this pick. I think Tyler Smith is one of the most underrated people in this class. I know a lot of people have him playing guard. I think he's better suited as tackle. He's got really good use of hands, a really good anchor set, and I think Tyler Smith really could just be the replacement that the Saints need at left tackle after losing Teron Armstead. I think it's a really big need for them. So for that reason, I have them going with Smith here at 19. This is the trade back. This was probably the guy I would have mocked at 13 if I didn't have them trading back. So George KARLAFTIS here at 20. This is a big guy that can kind of play anywhere on the defensive line. Does he have bend? No. Is he going to beat you with speed? No, but he is super powerful. He does have really good hand placement. He knows how to use his hands pretty well. I think he's a pretty good player here for the Houston Texans organization to pick up. They could go corner. Booth is here. I'm pretty high on Booth, but with McDuffie off the board, I think teams in this area are going to have George KARLAFTIS a little higher than Booth on their big board. So the Houston Texans go with KARLAFTIS here at 20. At 21, the New England Patriots go with Zion Johnson, the interior offensive lineman out of Boston College. Another guy that I think is a really, really good football player. Probably the highest rated interior offensive lineman for a lot of people and a lot of teams in this class. For me, it's Tyler Linderbaum, and then Kenyon Green, and then Zion Johnson. But I still think all three of those guys are worth first-round picks. They're all in my top 20 players. Really, really good interior offensive lineman class at the top here. And Zion Johnson is kind of just a Patriots fit. I think he fits really well on that team, and I think that it's a solid fit here at 21. At 22, I got TREYLON Burks going to the Green Bay Packers as my wide receiver 3 in this class. I think he's a really, really fun football player. You can really do whatever you want with him. He's got insane size and great speed for his size, really, really good play strength. He's the guy that can come on jet sweeps. I've heard the Debo comparisons. I think Debo might be a little more versatile than TREYLON Burks, but that's exactly how you can use him, right? You can use him in the running game. He's a really, really good outside blocker, which fits the Packers' needs perfectly. That's the type of receiver that they want. So I think he's the total package that the Packers are looking for, and can really become the wide receiver 1 for Aaron Rodgers next year. At 23, sorry for the typo, I forgot to change that, but it is Andrew Booth, it's not George KARLAFTIS. Andrew Booth, a cornerback out of Clemson, going to the Arizona Cardinals. Again, I've touched on this before. He's my cornerback too. I think he has the best hips in this class, the best fluidity in this class. He's got really, really good jab step that gets him back into plays. I think he's terrific in man coverage. I think he's terrific in zone coverage. I'm super high on Andrew Booth, and I think at this value, the Cardinals can't pass him up, especially with the top 4 or 5 edge rushers off the board. So I have them going with KARLAFTIS here. At 24, I touched on it before, Kenyon Green is so good, in my opinion. I really, really like Green. He's a little undersized, but he can play guard. He can play tackle. He's really played everywhere in college, has really good versatility. I think this is your Connor Williams replacement in Dallas, and an upgrade at that. I think he's better than Connor Williams is right off the bat. Really, really good and fun player here for the Cowboys, and I think that they take him at 24. At 25, Chris Olave to the Bills. This is a luxury pick for the Bills. They can really do anything. Their roster is pretty complete. Obviously, they need a corner. They could go Kyler Gordon here. They could go Kaiir Elam here, but with Booth off the board, I don't know if they do that, especially with Olave on the board. Obviously, you have Gabe Davis. You brought in Jamison Crowder, but Chris Olave is a terrific player, and with him still being here at 25 and wide receiver kind of being in need for the Buffalo Bills, I don't see them passing up on this. Him and Diggs can make a terrific duo with Davis kind of being that third guy. You could put Olave in the slot. Probably the most clean route runner in this class. He's just so smooth when he runs routes. He's got, the hands aren't where you want them to be. I will say that. I think out of these top receivers in this class, he's got the worst hands, but he's got pretty good body control. He can manipulate defenders with his hips very easily. Again, just a super smooth route runner. And I think the Bills take him at 25. At 26, Devin Lloyd. This is a pick that I don't see mocked here very often because they do have some other pressing needs, but they lost Rashaan Evans, and I think people are underestimating how big of a loss that is. That's one of the best interior linebackers in the NFL, and one of the most athletic, and I think replacing him with Devin Lloyd is going to be a really smooth fit, something that fits perfectly in the Titans defense. They could go edge here. They could go defensive back, but I think they go linebacker, and I think they take Devin Lloyd. At 27, I have the Buccaneers going Daxton Hill. They could go Tyler Linderbaum. However, I have heard concerns from the Buccaneers organization that they don't like the size of Linderbaum. Obviously, a pretty undersized guard. or center, wherever you want to play him. I think they go with a really versatile player in Dax Hill. Safety's a need for them. Corner's a need for him. He can play both. He's really good in coverage, especially man coverage, but he's also a terrific tackler, and he can be your Whitehead replacement if you want in Tampa. So, again, kind of a luxury pick here. I think they go best player available, and to me, that's Dax Hill. At 28, I have the Packers going Arnold Ebitike. I can't pronounce that last name. The edge out of Penn State. Look, if this guy was not 24, I think he would easily be a top 20 lock. He's got really, really good bend. He's got great speed off the edge. I like his pass rush package. It's just the age thing. But I think the Packers kind of ignore that and they go, hey, this is a guy that can make an immediate impact on our team. We lost Darius Smith. We have Rashawn Gary. Preston Smith's kind of getting old. Let's get another rotational edge piece in there because we rotate these guys a lot, and we need that Darius Smith replacement. So they go Arnold Ebitike. I'm going to botch his last name no matter what I say. They go Arnold out of Penn State here. At 29, it was Christian Watkins for me or George Pickens. I go George Pickens. I think that's a little more fun. Christian Watkins obviously has the speed, but I think Pickens really is a wide receiver one. Another guy out of Georgia that has some character issues. I have heard that, but I think he's a really, really terrific talent no matter what. I think if he obviously hadn't gotten hurt, he would be a top 15 talent in this class and wouldn't slide this far. He still very well could slide to the second round, but the Chiefs really need a next receiver. They have the speed in Hardman. I think you really just need a guy that can dominate, and to me, that's George Pickens. This could be a 1,000-yard receiver with Patrick Mahomes year one if he lives up to his talent. So I think this is a solid pick for the Chiefs. At 30, I got them going Lewis Cine, the safety out of Georgia. Back-to-back Georgia picks here for the Chiefs. But again, this is a need for them. They need safety. They lost Matthew. Yeah, they got Justin Reed. They need someone else on the other side. And Cine to me is a really good player. I think he's a first-round talent. And again, just a good fit in Kansas City. At 31, this is a luxury pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, and this kind of completes that offensive line transformation that they had this offseason, which was ridiculous. They went from having one of the worst lines last year, and if they can slide Linderbaum in at center, they have probably a top 3, top 5 offensive line in the entire NFL this year. So again, a luxury pick here for the Cincinnati Bengals, but I absolutely love it if it shapes up like this. I think they cannot pass on Tyler Linderbaum, for me, is a top 10 talent in this class. I think he has all the talent in the world. Obviously, interior offensive lineman is a little undervalued, and again, that size is a concern for a lot of teams, but the talent is there for me, and I think this is an absolute slam dunk pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. At 32, I don't think this is going to happen. I really don't. I think some other team will trade up for Kenny Pickett at some point. But if he falls to 32, to me, I don't see how the Lions could pass on him. They could go one of the safeties. I know they really value the safety position in this class. But, again, I think Kenny Pickett just makes sense if he falls to 32. They need a quarterback. Jared Goff is not your long-term answer. So I think that they would probably pull the trigger on Pickett here. But, again, I think there is going to be a team that trades up. I just kind of couldn't really figure out how to fit that in this particular mock. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like. If you want to see more post-draft content, subscribe. Enjoy tomorrow. It's always a fun day. My favorite sporting event of the year. Take it easy, guys. Peace.